Welcome back to the WOW Seat Workspace. I am AliNICOLE WOW, She Does It All, and so excited because been working with the king of the digital space, Rob Deptford, and we've been having some great dialogue and conversation about the expansion of his videopreneurship empire and what he's doing with his YouTube presence. Before the break, we were exploring the different options that he is considering for developing many training hubs that are components of his bigger empire, which he has a multi-level empire with his Robert Deptford Communications, but also he has some expanding tiers for that as well. So we have been looking at different ways that he can leverage these training hubs to be lead-ins and gateways, so to speak, to some of his bigger initiatives. But our primary focus has been on YouTube at this moment, and looking at how the development of a Jumpstart Your YouTube Success Training Hub, again, can be a segue into some of the greater expansive things that he's doing, but ultimately leading people to subscribe to YouTube so that they can start to learn about the different components and elements that he has to his empire. So Rob, thank you again for being in this workspace. So appreciative of you being here. Are you ready to jump in and get started?
Oh, absolutely. Hey, I'm appreciative too. This is great.
Wonderful. Yeah, it's very exciting because, again, all that you do for the digital space, and with you being the creator of the digital first business era, no one has a more expanded and much needed and required voice and message than you do during this time as it relates to the evolution and progression of the digital space. And again, everything that is required to participate at the highest level. So as we were talking about this journey of how to leverage YouTube to your highest advantage in the digital first trajectory that you have created, and ultimately not just for yourself to expand for impact and income, but also how you start to leverage your channel more for your agenda or initiative of the video revenue system, and then starting with some of these training hubs to be able to facilitate the beginning phases for others so that they can start to level up, so that when they sync up with the greater emergence of where your channel is going, yeah, they'll be right in sync and ready to rock and roll with you on that next level.
Well, let's hope so. Yeah, that's the plan for sure.
That is the plan, exactly. And all you can do is your due diligence, obviously, to put these things in place. And then ultimately, people will have to be accountable to themselves in that way to do the work to, to sync up with the greater expansion. So before the break, I wanted you to think about ways that we could get started with this process, and for you to consider whether everything that was laid out in the first segment, the first part of the segment, if you wanted to think about doing it all and then creating a master plan for doing it all, and we just jump in and start where we get started, or if you just say, no, I just think I just want to go here with one of these aspects and then go from there. So let me hear about your thoughts.
So I think in a perfect world, it would be nice to do everything and be everywhere. So the more, the more platforms to take advantage of, the better, I think.
Mhm.
Um, and the question really is, well, where do you start for me anyway? Uh,
The thinker, right? Uh-oh.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe not, right?
No, I'm kidding.
I mean, as I think about it, I think there are certainly tremendous advantages to all of the platforms, YouTube, Tumblr, LinkedIn, they all have their pros and cons for sure.
Oh,
Um,
definitely.
when I think about, and I tend to be inclined to go to the things I'm familiar with. So that's
Mm-hmm.
increasing YouTube and certainly LinkedIn, and
Yes.
Tumblr I haven't had any real experience with yet.
Right.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but the more you go to these new places, the more places search engines have to find you from. So
Yes.
I think there's that overarching advantage, that
Mm-hmm.
SEO advantage, to be able to be in as many places as possible. So I do think it's important to probably use all of these different
Okay.
platforms.
Okay.
My initial thought is, and one of the things I've learned with the YouTube journey, especially, is people have
Mm-hmm.
to be able to find you.
Yes.
So when I talk about the SEO advantage, people on YouTube tend to be searching for the answer to a question, and if you're not
Yes.
responding, if your topic isn't a response to that, a solution to that, then you'll never be found, and you're not going to gain the viewership and grow your channel. So in the
Right.
same way, how am I going to gain the traffic to my business?
Mm-hmm.
And I already have an audience on LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
a reasonably sized audience on LinkedIn.
Yes.
So my inclination is maybe that's where I should start, but maybe not. I don't know. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, no, no. I think that LinkedIn would actually be a great jump off because something that could happen is that you can always leverage your LinkedIn, whether it's an article series or even if it's just the landing page or so that is created in an article format. You could also leverage that on Tumblr because it can be repurposed. And what I mean is that that article can be on Tumblr and actually link people, to LinkedIn. So there are a variety of ways. I do strongly believe that leveraging all of the aspects would be best. But as we say, it's just, where do you get started? What do you do first? And then let's build kind of a system, around this, because this actually is a very easy format to be able to leverage. What happens in these initial stages of what we're doing in planning now is really just determining what is actually going to be what. And the reason why that's important, because it's just like if you're building a home, and once you get started in the construction, there's a blueprint for it, and you have to kind of follow that, because you get too far down the road, then it's hard to, then you got to tear down something in order to, so I guess the best way for us to move forward in the master planning is to decide, is LinkedIn going to be just an article that just sets up for this agenda, or is it going to be a series of articles with these different, with different videos in there that you want people, to take advantage of, and then will the Tumblr platform, since we were talking about SEO and being able to come up, in the search engine effectively, if the title is Jumpstart Your YouTube Success, and that's the name of the platform, then certainly when people are Googling YouTube and beginning on YouTube and different things like that, then that will come up. Your decision would be, do I want this to just be a blog landing page where people enter into this and then they see my LinkedIn article series, and then they see my products, and then they can subscribe to my YouTube channel? Or do I want to take all of the videos that I have created in terms of jumpstarting your success on YouTube, and then eventually just start to rebroadcast those, and take a day or a weekend or so and just say, oh, I'm going to pre-schedule, these, because Tumblr gives you that ability to pre-schedule. So, am I going to pre-schedule these videos where the next, 90 days, one comes out a month, not a month, or one comes out every week or every other week, or so those are the things. Is what do you actually want to use Tumblr for? Do you want to build where it's a consistency to get a following there, or just that the posts will come up in the search engine enough to where it creates some type of high level visibility in SEO when people Google. So you don't have to continue on that platform. It just could be after my videos are that many are loaded, and then the description could actually have, this is a 12-part video series on da 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 da. This platform provides, X, Y, and Z. So that would be what we would need to determine is, for the longer, term, is that LinkedIn, do you want to start with just an article series or just an article about jumpstart your YouTube success, and then maybe have that article lead into a video series that's going to be on Tumblr. So those are things to, we can start master planning around as well.
Yeah, I don't know that and I guess I don't know what I don't know about Tumblr.
Yeah, well, you have me, so of course
Yeah.
I, would teach you. Let me just, before you go there, let me just say this about Tumblr, because Tumblr is extremely easy to leverage, especially once you get it set up. And as you've seen a few of my Tumblr platforms, they're used for a variety of reasons. And a lot of times I use some for blog tours, and then a lot of them are just platforms. They are just welcome centers. But on some of them I have, this is a 3 to 5 part blog series on this particular aspect. And that's what the platform provides, that 3 to 5 blog part series and products and resources. But ultimately they lead into something else. And so that's the consideration. So I don't look to build followers on those particular platforms. They're more leveraged as evergreen marketing, but also they come up in the search engines. It's just like you mentioned, when people are searching for particular things, then based on the title, not just of the blog, based on the title of a blog post that's on that platform, it could bring somebody to that platform, and then they see, oh, here are the different dynamics, and I can get some basic, training and content on here, and then there's some products on here that can get me started, and then I see there's another opportunity to take this a step further. So those are things. So that's one way to X out. Here's something else I have to manage. Here's, if I get on Tumblr, I can just do my 3-part blog series and put these things on there, and then that is done. I don't have to ever come back to this anymore unless I want to update with a new product or so. But if not, this is done. So I just need to know what to do on Tumblr for the moment, and then it's done. And I can just leverage those links whenever or put them in publications. So, that's just something I just wanted to mention that for the audience as well is, you have options of how you can leverage different things. And so to ease Rob a little bit, to just say that that's an opportunity, that's a consideration as well.
Well, that to me sounds more like what would be the strategy for what I'm trying to accomplish. If I think about, at least on in the initial stages right now, the objective is to drive traffic to the YouTube channel.
Right.
So to me, yeah, a 3-part blog series or something like that on Tumblr that is part of the funnel, so to speak.
Right, exactly, because it's all about that. It's all about the funnel, and also too, if you have articles, like I said, on LinkedIn that are about the progression of YouTube, and you have an article series, then you can just take that article series and put those on Tumblr, and then it ultimately leads people to the platforms where you most show up, YouTube or LinkedIn. So there'll be that dual agenda of subscribers to the YouTube channel, of course, but then also it gives opportunity for others to follow you on LinkedIn just based on seeing the series. So that would be good. Definitely, I would actually consider that, to do a 3 to 5 blog part series on Tumblr, and we'll still be developing, of course, the products for that platform, and then leveraging LinkedIn articles. And a good thing is that the blog post could be just really lead into the LinkedIn article if you wanted to. So you could give it a different title than what the actual LinkedIn article is, and then do a little basic setup of a paragraph that talks, and maybe it does give a little excerpt of what's in the article, so to speak. But these are just options. So that's, these are just things for you to consider. But
Yeah.
this is just the master planning. So yeah,
Yeah,
but
no, it's good. It's good. As you're saying this, I'm just imagining kind of the duplication that comes out of it, and
mm-hmm,
the leverage and the time savings with the repurposing the
yes,
existing content. So yeah,
mm-hmm,
yeah, if it's an article on LinkedIn, and you've got it written already, and you're just doing
mm-hmm,
a short setup on Tumblr and redirecting.
yes,
Yeah,
uh-huh.
I see how that could be quite effective, actually.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah, and it just makes business sense, in the both sense,
yeah,
sense and the dollar sense as well. Is that is how you get more of maximizing and multiplying and monetizing, using the multiplicity effects of entrepreneurship, and yeah, being able to repurpose, and then like I said too, being able to help segue others to uh, the areas that you really most want them to be on. But the reason why I was speaking earlier about the evolution and the progression of your channel and what you are going to be doing, even on LinkedIn, and what you're doing for your YouTube channel, is because things are going to start shifting where you are going to be focusing more on the video revenue system. And so you want others to be able to, like I said, sync up with that initiative, but being able to have the foundational premises that are going to help them build, to that, having these different training hubs, or just that one, so to speak, that gives them the basics. Because when you move into this new progression, you're not going to be teaching the basics anymore, but you still have those. And then if you are still sharing something about the basics, then it would need to be that it is a product that then you can recommend to them to level up with this, this particular product. So the evolution is always something to keep in mind, that the initial content and things that you're leveraging now are not going to be the greater expansion of where the channel is actually going. So you want to be able to then repurpose what you've done and position it so that it hits the right people. Because then someone could come to your channel and it's the video revenue system. They can think, well, I'm not ready for that, But you have something to offer them in terms of, the leveling up. And like your getoncamera.com, you want to talk about that site a little bit, especially for those who aren't ready to get on camera, or they're syncing up, to that point.
yeah. So that was designed, and it's going to go through a little bit of a redesign here soon.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
as it exists now, really where it came from was there's a segment of people in business who understand that getting into video content is a part of what's necessary going forward in the digital
Yes,
first business era. So
right.
but there are barriers to getting into it, and people have this idea that the standards are very high. They think they've got to create a Super Bowl ad, or they've got to,
You're
have
right.
some kind of Hollywood style production.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
so getoncamera.com was really, it was created to address that in such a way that you can actually get started with your smartphone these days,
Yeah,
because the camera quality is actually quite good on most smartphones now. And you don't have to, you really should be lowering your standards when you look at some of the video content that's out there. It's not about being flashy and fancy. It's about delivering
right.
your message. So it's getting started with your smartphone, the basics of, setting up and framing and speaking to time a little bit, and
Mm-hmm.
producing something that you can put out there and getting past whatever fears may be holding you back from that. So,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's a perfect, segue also into the YouTube higher advantage, as well. And that's why I mentioned that even that site as it exists at this, it's this time can still be leveraged even in that particular training hub. And again,
yeah,
that's still, repurposing and giving people the value and everything that they need to skill up to then sync up with the progression of where your channel's going. And because what will start happening is obviously you're starting to do some of this now of the basics of the monetization, but that's going to continue to increase, and then that's where more of the followers and people are going to connect more to that because you're talking about revenue and the expansion. But again, because it's going to be, you're going to be catapulting and continuing to evolve it, the good thing is that for people who are new joining, you can always say that. And for those of you who are just starting on this journey, I do have this, for you. And they'll be apt to really get into that because they want to continue to sync up with the progression. So I guess within this master planning segment here is that you've decided, yes, I want to leverage them all.
yeah,
Well, really, it's really just two components because it really is just setting the Tumblr up and doing, like I said, the 3 to 5 part blog, series, on there, and then doing the LinkedIn articles, and all of it will ultimately lead to the YouTube channel. So, so that's basically what the segue is. Obviously, is into the YouTube channel to get people to follow you, to follow you there. So again, starting with LinkedIn, you've determined that, but then it's just going to be, are you just going to do an article on LinkedIn or an article series or some type of article landing page or a training module? So that would be something just to think about. I would just keep
mm,
everything simple for sure.
yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah, so I guess how does the LinkedIn article tie in with the Tumblr blog series? Um,
Well,
wh-
how this would tie in would be if you decided, okay, let's say you did a 3 part um, article series on LinkedIn, right? And
yeah,
then Tumblr, what would happen is then for the 3 part kind of blog series or so, it would be that there would be maybe a core element of the article that you would bring out and leverage it as a title for the blog post, and then do some type of statement or excerpt, and then have it lead in, to, um, into that particular
okay,
article. Yeah.
okay.
Or,
So,
go ahead.
or
Go
you
ahead.
could do the reverse, I guess, as well, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
that's right. Yeah, you could. So those are things to, to consider. Or you could do something completely different. Since we were talking about you having some type of ebook, a good
Yeah.
way to actually start to write the ebook, in a sense, is to just blog excerpts. Um, and even if you start off in my forthcoming publication, da 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 da, jumpstart your YouTube success. I talk about this in the 3 steps to doing X, Y, and Z. And then step 1 is this. And then the next blog post, you come back and say, in step 2 is this. And the next one is step 3 is this. And then ultimately, by the time you finish that, you've got a book. Even though you're just giving little bits, it just gets you started. So those are just, like I said, ideas to play around with. Um, and remember, the thing is, obviously, as you know, it's just getting started because you can change any of this. I mean, there have been times where I have created a blog landing page and had no intentions of blogging on that Tumblr, and then as I leveraged it and things expanded a little bit, then I came back and added a series to it. But so you can change up things as you go, but ultimately we just want to keep it simple because remember, this isn't your main thing here. It's just
Right.
designed to be a welcome center or a segue into. But if you find that, no, I think I want to monetize Tumblr because Tumblr is a platform that gets high level monetization too, then you still may not want to do that with the basic stuff. Then you could maybe take some of your bigger things and do it over there. But not to get too far ahead, just, back to the Jumpstart Your YouTube, is that that's not your main thing. It's just taking the content that you've been leveraging already and then putting it in another place. Um,
Right.
or your blog post could be taking, if it's a 3 to 5 blog post, then it could be about 5 videos that you have, and the video serves as the blog, but you just do a write up to lead into that video, and that, here are 5 videos that are going to help you get started X, Y, and Z, and here are products, to help you level up. You want to learn more, here's the next steps. But subscribe to my YouTube channel because I take you on the journey. There are playlists on there, so there's a variety of ways that you can, you can leverage that. But one of the things I want to encourage you is to think about doing this like in a weekend, and it's done.
Hmm.
So it's not like if you create a little intensive for you and for yourself, and not thinking of, okay, this is something I got to plan for and do a whole lot of progression. It's like, no, I have 5 videos, 3 to 5 videos, obviously, on, your jump starting your YouTube success. That's just the thing, but you've got, your own journey, and you've got those on videos. And so you just think, all right, I'm going to pick 5 videos out of how many I have, and say, these are the cornerstones that I want to use and leverage for people to get started. And then I've got the product. Then if people aren't familiar with getting on camera, I've got that. Even one of your blog posts could be about, jumpstart your YouTube success, with, getting on camera with your smartphone, and then telling them, record your video and then load it up to YouTube. Because, and the reason why that's important to actually kind of explain is because, remember, when you were doing videos, at first, initially, some of them you weren't necessarily loading up to YouTube. You were loading them up to the social media platform that you were leveraging the most, which was LinkedIn, right?
Right. Yeah.
So you can be able to do a blog post on that. Is that when you create your videos, then also load them up to your YouTube channel. So just things like that. But definitely, if you haven't written this down, definitely put down. Consider just doing this in a weekend.
Yeah.
And then it actually jumpstarts another topic for you to talk about at some point. It's like, how to jumpstart your YouTube success in a weekend, how to, set up your game plan and create, videos or so. But then don't necessarily post them all, which is something you do already in the pre-scheduling and the pre-production things that you do. And then, you schedule them. So that's a whole, another, aspect. So that's the simplest way, is that here's I'm going to take a weekend, and because you can do this, and I mean, this won't take long at all. Just say, I'm going to block out a few hours or so, and yeah, I'm just going to create my Tumblr platform, get 3 to 5 videos, do a lead in to each video as a post, and then come back with one post that then will feature all 5 of the blog posts that I have, and then have the products, that lead into it. And then boom, that's a platform. Or I put my LinkedIn article on there, which you've seen, you've seen examples of mine, like one of the
Yep.
ones that I had you, and you went and you clicked on, and it was different blog posts that were already on that particular blog post, but they were in the landing page one. So you could see that I had already done blogging and products, and then I came back and then created one post that had everything in it. And then also too, it had a LinkedIn article in it as well. So that's an
Yeah.
example that you can reference when setting yours up as well.
Right. Yeah. It all ties together nicely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just put a bow on it, right?
Yeah, let's put a bow on it.
Yeah, exactly. And then you've got something like I said that you can work with, and 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 again, it's not having been something you have to manage. And if you at
Yeah.
another point decided, oh, I want to add to this, then obviously you could do that. But as they say, use the KISS formula, keep it simple. Well,
Yeah.
I'd say the other one, but yeah, just keep it simple. um, yeah, just work smarter, not harder. It's just you do want to have an SEO, as you mentioned, backlinks and different things that could come up. And if any of those blog posts can come up and segue people into your grander experience that you want to provide, then again, it's a welcome center, and that's what you look at it. This is my welcome center on social media, on Tumblr, and I can leverage these as evergreen if I choose to. If not, at least I know it's there. But ultimately, like you said, you can put it in LinkedIn articles. You can actually put it in your YouTube, videos. Check out these on Tumblr or so. Just however, just don't overcomplicate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Not
Well, yeah,
the
I do. I tend to get carried away sometimes, but
yeah, I think you've been doing great. I would love for you to share though about Robert Deptford Communications and the site, for that, because ultimately, with you again being the creator of the digital first business era and leveraging the video as your primary focus and chief vehicle, is that you do eventually want the progression for others to possibly sync up to that particular site. But if not, I still would love for people to know more about the expansiveness of what you do.
yeah, I think that so robertdeptford.com is for now kind of the central hub, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
I think it will be, well into the future. I think it's going to be a
Oh,
place that I
yes.
encourage people to go because they'll be able to be directed from there to different resources that come along.
Right.
And
Yes.
there are some things in the works that I know are going to be tremendously helpful for people some of which
Mm-hmm.
I'm not quite ready to announce yet,
Right.
but
Right.
I'm
Right.
pretty excited about what's coming together. So
Mm-hmm.
for now, robertdeptford.com. This is where you'll be able to find any of the publications that are available that I've done and that you have been a part of as well,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm grateful for that. And yeah, the YouTube channel, there'll be a link to that there, and any number of other resources that come along. There's
Yeah.
some previous podcast appearances that I think would be helpful for
Yes.
people.
Absolutely.
So lots to learn from there. So
Oh,
um,
absolutely, absolutely. And I do want to give a plug for your publications. They're on Amazon, but also, as he mentioned, on robertdeptford.com, that you'll be able to find them there. But he has the on-camera confidence handbook. Is that correct? Uh,
right,
Okay, yes, and then the business broadcasting advantage, and that
yeah,
particular one is about how to not diminish in the digital first business era. Is that
yeah.
correct? It's kind of summing that up. Yeah, I had
Uh,
the opportunity to write the foreword for that. It's a really great resource. Um,
well, you and
I'm
I are
ex-
on the same page with that for sure, with that topic.
Yes, we are. We are. Well, we're on the same page for a variety of topics, but as all things digital
Yeah,
and space and branding, for sure. But, I've really enjoyed this particular work session as well because I love just your openness. I always love hearing you explain things and even your thought process too, because you're kind of methodical and when you explain it, it makes sense to you, but it also makes sense to others. Like, yeah, I see how
well, I
all this
hope
fits
so.
together. Well, if it didn't, trust me, I wouldn't
Sometimes,
say it. Yeah,
yeah.
I wouldn't point that out. Trust me, if it, you know me.
I know, I know.
Yeah.
Well,
So, well, go ahead. Were you going to say something else?
I was just going to say, I appreciate your time going through some of these things with me because, you know,
Hmm.
if anything, I do, with all of the ideas that come into my brain, sometimes it's easy to get muddled up at times.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of exercise that brings some clarity and some focus. And
Hmm.
I really appreciate that.
Oh, you're most welcome. Yeah, it is important to isolate, and that's something, for someone who operates in the multiplicity, aspect, is that you can have tons of innovative ideas and things coming at you, and they all can work together, cohesively fit into one big puzzle. But we can only start fitting one puzzle piece in at a time. And so the thing is to be able to, focus in. And you've heard me use the analogy about the basketball player, and when you're not on defense or offense and you're at the free throw line, only focus on making the free throw shot and then go back to your other position, after you've made that shot. And it is the same when we are working on, especially multidimensional aspects of our brand and our business initiatives, is that you have the overall picture, and sure, there are a lot of pieces, but stay focused on the one piece, the main thing, so to speak, that you want to bring into fruition first, already knowing that the other ones are going to come, but you don't have to try to, you're not a circus clown here. You're not being asked to juggle, all of them. It's just that you have the plan. And today that's what's been created. Today you decided, yeah, I do want to leverage all of this. I think that I am going to do the 3 to 5 part blog series that makes sense, and
Yeah,
leverage a LinkedIn article, a LinkedIn article series, um, and leverage that. So already that there you are. Your thing is just then determining what's going to be the time frame, um, when you want to. When you want to leverage that, when you want to, is it the spring you want to bring that out? Or is it something, oh, as soon as I do this weekend and get this done, this baby's up, and at least it's done and you can leverage it as you choose. But it is a training hub that has been produced, and ultimately you'll be constantly working on your bigger training hubs, like Robert
absolutely.
Deptford. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's great. I have I've enjoyed this. Like I said, I always have great conversations, with you. But like I said, even in this, I think it's, important, just in terms of the flow and how this has progressed, to see the development of ideas, and then ultimately a master plan. And like I said, then you get to determine when you can actually execute, um, when you can actually execute this.
For sure. Yeah. It's not going to be long. No.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, yeah, like soon as we get over here, I just might go ahead and, and obviously if you need assistance with the Tumblr, I'm here, to
Oh
provide
yeah.
that, yeah, and everything.
Appreciate that
So,
for sure. Yeah.
oh no, you're most welcome. Like I said, this is so exciting. So one of the things I want to do for the listeners is, of course, to encourage them, if they are seeking to explore YouTube and really starting that initiative, is please reach out to Rob, because he already has what you need to get started. All we have been doing today is really talking about how we reposition and repurpose the value that he's already been providing to his market, and shift it to a place where those who specifically need the jump start can start to benefit from that. But meanwhile, you go to his YouTube channel or any of the sites that he has recommended. You're going to get synced up. You'll be able to learn more about him and the journey. But going back to the YouTube, yes, certainly check out his channel. He's got different playlists and everything. And don't delay, not waiting until he actually gets this training hub going, because the training hub already exists on YouTube. Again, we're just segueing it to where the value can be dispersed, um, so that others can be able to come in contact and connect with the different platforms, that they're on. So, Rob, I'm super excited. I am.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah, yeah, I am. So before we wrap up this session, are there any closing words or empowerment, encouragement that you want to give to these emerging YouTubers or YouTubepreneurs or even seasoned ones that maybe are looking to take the next step?
Well, so with YouTube, I think it can be a bit daunting because most people want to get onto YouTube, assuming they're going to monetize their channel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And from an advertising perspective on YouTube, you have to hit their threshold, which is 1,000 subscribers and
Yes.
4,000 viewing hours, and that seems like
Mm-hmm.
an awful lot. And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
there yet. But I have, I think as of today, I have 119 subscribers. So my channel
Okay.
is it's gaining about 3 subscribers a week now.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's slowly progressing because I started at 0 like everybody does.
Yes, of course.
And this is not an overnight game, right? This is a long
Mm-hmm.
game. So you have to keep
Yes.
continuing to create content and keep working towards hitting that threshold. And then once you get there,
Mm-hmm.
the subscriber number doesn't matter anymore because now you have an
Exactly.
established platform. So I just want to encourage people not to give up on YouTube. I think it's still a great time to start on YouTube, and
Mm-hmm.
I know
Mm-hmm.
I have learned a little bit from people who are just a few steps ahead of me, and
Yes,
maybe I'm just a few steps ahead of people just getting started
that's
now. So I've
right.
got some stuff I can share. So
Absolutely. And that's what it's about is being able to leverage your different stages of expertise and not waiting until you feel, oh, I'm an authority in this particular area, because you're already an authority in many areas. But the beginning in Genesis of your journey of starting to progress here, that's why I think it's important to have the training hub for sure of to jumpstart your YouTube success, because that's what you were doing is that as you were going along, you are just sharing the value and not
yeah,
withholding that. And that can be beneficial because you are the expert to someone who you're just 2 or 3 steps ahead of. And that's in that area where you have to think of it because long from not too long from now, because you're the authority in the digital space, that is just another aspect in your reservoir where you are a leading authority, but you weren't just waiting until your name was big in that area in order to be able to share. So I think that that was really important. I appreciate you so much, the tremendous value that you bring not only to the marketplace, but also to my experience, as well, because I learned, so much from you. So, Rob, I want to thank you so much for being on the Wow Seat Workspace and having this
no, thank
session
you.
today. I appreciate you. And I also want to thank those who have joined us and also those who are going to be listening at another time for being a part of this workspace session with Rob and I. And also, you can learn more about how to work with me on air. And you can follow the Wow Seat Media on Facebook and also visit www.thewowseat.tumblr.com. And if you would like to learn more about me, you can visit my press site at www.wowshedoesitall.com. And I want to encourage you to keep expanding your worthwhile, outstanding works because we all have them so that you can make a great impact in your industry, in the marketplace, and in the world at large. And I often say that your wow mission means more than you can ever imagine. And trust me, we need you now. And until the next session, I want you to be well and stay blessed.